All right, today on This Is Business, we are live from FinCon. At the time of recording this, it is September, and this episode might go up a little bit later than next week. But I'm joined by Stephanie Veal, and it was an interesting connection. Stephanie knew of our podcast, had listened for a little bit, and maybe start, Steph. Talk to us about you and who you are and all that stuff.
Sure.
What are you doing here?
Why am I here?
Yeah.
So very excited to be on the pod.
Yeah.
I am a business broker at a company called Flippa. So we're here at FinCon to connect with other people in this space, to connect with creators. We are a platform for buying and selling digital businesses.
Right.
So what does that mean? Essentially, you go to a company like realestate.com and look at a house that maybe you want to buy. We provide that for businesses. So people who are wanting to buy or sell digital assets.
All right. So people might be thinking Flippa, Steph, Aussie accent.
Yeah.
What's the deal? What's the
Poland?
shtick? Is it an American company? Is it an Aussie company? How long has it been around?
So Flippa started, I believe, in 2012. So we've been around for quite a bit of time. Yeah, huge.
So that's Flippa.
That's right. Yeah, Flippa. It's an Australian company. We started in Melbourne and then branched out. So I live in Austin, Texas, and I joined the company in America. But it's just like a pretty cool connection that it started. I'm from Melbourne, so pretty cool connection that I get to work for an Australian
How long
company.
have you lived in Austin?
I've been here for 2 years.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
And what do you actually? Before we do that, let's play the pre-roll bump and get this podcast started right now. And everyone, we are recording in a convention centre, so you may hear background noise. If you're seeing this on YouTube, we're looking out at the Portland skyline. There's trees, there's a city. My voice, you might be able to tell, you might not. It is croaky. I'm about to lose it. So what's your role at Flippa?
Yeah, so I'm a broker, so I mostly work sell side. So I work with business owners and entrepreneurs who have been running a business for quite a few years and they've gotten to the point where they're looking to exit. And I get this question a lot, why would someone want to sell their business? There are so many reasons why someone would want to sell their business. So a lot of people are burnt out. Some people are needing cash. And for a lot of business owners, the biggest cash day is the day that they exit. And a lot of people don't realize that they can sell a digital asset. So the businesses that we sell are like content sites and e-commerce businesses, software businesses, apps, YouTube channels, newsletters.
Podcasts?
I don't think we've sold podcasts.
Not yet.
Yeah, but we should grow
You should
do you want to
get
sell?
mine on the market. Yeah, why not? I'll take some cash.
Happy to help.
Yeah.
So I work with business owners through the whole process. So someone considering selling, I jump on a call with them and learn about their business, learn about their revenue, their profitability. I can help them, plan for that exit.
Or pretty up the bride for sale.
That's exactly right. Help them understand what a buyer is looking for, the kinds of buyers that we have on the market. And then after providing evaluation, I then support them through the whole sale process. So finding the right buyer, negotiating for them on their behalf to find the best offer, and then walking them through all the way to the final contract.
And what was your background before you started at Flippa?
Yeah, pretty random.
Yeah.
I did a little...
And I've just met Steph kind of yesterday, everyone, so I don't really... Half of this is me.
This is a legitimate question.
Yeah, this is legitimately asking. And I don't know anything about Flippa. I don't know if I've done no DD on whether it's a sham town or I don't know anything.
Yeah.
So we're going in.
Well, look, it's not a sham. It's not a sham.
I usually do a bit of DD on businesses before I have them on the show.
And can I just say...
And they're not paying me for this.
Yeah. In terms of what Flippa does, you asked what I do, but Flippa itself is a platform for buying and selling businesses. So if someone's listening to this and thinking, well, maybe I want to buy a business, we can certainly help with that. You can just go onto flippa.com and
it's
you'll
a tech
see
business.
It's a tech platform. Yeah, it's a tech platform with M&A advisory on top.
Yeah.
So we help with the sell
For
side.
those who might not know, M&A is
mergers and acquisitions. Yeah. So we're kind of small to mid-market M&A. So people could buy, if you're listening and thinking, I'd like
you're
to.
a Tinder for business.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to.
You've just cheapened your whole brand into like 10
oh,
seconds.
no, my CEO is going to hate that.
Yeah. He's not going to hate that he's getting free exposure.
No, but people could buy a business for $10,000 and scale it all the way up to, 10 million is what we do.
Okay, so back to what you were doing before you joined Flippa.
Yeah. So I did a stint in superannuation in Australia. And then I ended up starting a business doing money coaching. That was one of the best things I've ever done. So I was doing, money mindset coaching. I was running courses and webinars and workshops and one-on-one coaching. And I was very much in that space. You can't find anything about it anymore. That's all gone.
And you've listened to my podcast before.
Absolutely. Yeah. Love it.
From a casual observer, what are the blind spots in my money mindset?
Oh, Glenn, that's such a tough question.
You're
putting me on the spot.
You can tell me later. No, think about it.
Nothing comes to mind. I think for me, the biggest thing that I was working on and that I still come up with all the time today is the way that women can undersell themselves.
Right.
And I see that a lot in what we're doing today. Most of the people I'm working with are men, which is fantastic. But I would love if more women were getting into this space of buying and selling businesses. I think that would be amazing.
But to sell
not
a business,
really about you.
No, whatever. But to sell a business, you got to build a business.
You do, or you can buy a business.
Or you can buy a business.
Which is a huge
misconception. Okay.
misconception.
So to add value to the business podcast today, which is what I want to do, and I think I'm getting over my jet lag, so I should be better than the episodes I did yesterday. And I don't know, off the top of your head, what are some key things that you look, so if I call you and said, I've got a business to sell, like what are some big flag markers that you're looking for? Is it like, well, your business has only been around 12 months, like sure, it's got rev there, but is it sticky rev? Like what are some things that businesses need to think about?
Totally. I think that's such a good question and really important to be thinking about when you're building a business. I think a lot of people think about it too late when they're already burnt out or they're ready to sell, and then they go, oh, bummer, I haven't been thinking about this. I should have been thinking about this years ago. So, I mean, on Flippa, you can sell almost any digital business, but the ones that sell, we're looking for established businesses, so been around for at least more than a year.
Okay, so I can log into the platform today, start a profile, sell it, here's what I want, matches buyers, Flippa takes a cut, see you later.
You can.
Like, do you vet or do you...
We do. Yeah. So we verify every business that comes onto the platform. If it was a business
and I think I'll let you finish in a second. I just need to be very clear for people. To get on the platform, it needs to be vetted.
Yes.
And I'm just thinking there could be the most legitimate business in the world that's only been around 5 minutes. Someone thinks it's worth something, but it's actually not. That doesn't mean that it's a bad business. It just means someone's put it on there. They might not really get any buyers or interest because of...
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
It's a marketplace.
Yes.
So there's going to be some businesses on there that you're not going to be interested in. There's going to be some that are excellent.
Yeah.
And I say the ones that are selling are going to be around for a number of years. We basically only list profitable businesses. So one of the tricky things that entrepreneurs face is that when you're running a business, you're doing your taxes to look like often you don't have any profit.
Yeah.
And we want the opposite when you're selling a business. So we value on a profit multiple.
Yep.
We'd want to look at what's the key man risk like?
Yep.
How important is the owner in the business? Do you have a team of people who are running it? If you step away, will the business continue to run itself?
That's funny. Like yesterday, it was 6:30 a.m. thought. So Rach and I were awake with jet lag and like, let's go get a coffee. And like we drive, because I had the hire car for one day. We're driving over, we're talking about business. And I said, I'm like, the thing is, I actually don't really have a business right now because there are parts of my business, like I'm doing bits of my business, I need to work in it every single day.
Yeah.
Rach is an awesome mortgage broker. And I said, look, with all respect, you don't have a business. I don't have a business, because to have a business, it needs to run if you're literally offline for 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Right. You are the business.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, and a friend of mine, Phil Thompson, he's got Sky Wealth. I said to Rach, he has got a business because he's got a general manager in there. He went to Europe with his family and was just off. I'm not here for a month, and it ran.
Amazing.
So I think the question with what you're saying, it's starting a business with the end in mind. How are you building it?
Exactly. Yes. And there have been a number of situations, because we sell blogs, we sell YouTube channels, and if you're selling a blog where someone is kind of the main face or the influencer, we can still sell it. There's just going to be a transition period. So they might not do any of the content anymore, but they might still have their face on the list, on the blog.
But that's the same as a traditional bricks and mortar business, where if you sold it, you'd say to the key person, hey, you're around for 12 months, relationship management, handover.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there'd usually be a transition. There's almost always a transition. So, when you buy a business, you're going to be working with the owner for a period of time.
Okay. So when you look for good businesses, number one, it's starting almost with the end in mind.
Yes.
It's making sure that it is profitable, which you want anyway.
Yes.
But maybe would you say, if you are looking at selling your business, you need to know that maybe the next 3 financial years, don't dick around with the financials.
100%.
Like draw a market salary, have the profit, don't just
Exactly. You have to be doing everything above board.
Yeah.
And just keep in mind that a buyer is going to go through your P&L line by line and question everything.
Yeah.
And I've worked with business owners who are so on top of it, and first of all, they're a dream to work with, but their business will sell and it will be a better outcome. And then the other thing is, if you build with the end in mind and you don't sell, you've probably built a better business.
A good business, yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be better to run.
Yeah. And what else are you looking at in terms of a good business that's built that will sell easy? Talk to us about back office team processes.
Yeah, great question. So I think generally the businesses that sell quickly are the ones that are most organized and have everything laid out and clearly noted, essentially.
Documented processes.
Documented processes. Yeah. Exactly. So they'll have their SOPs for what their employers' roles are.
And for those that don't know, an SOP.
Standard operating procedures. They'll have all of that laid out.
I know a few SOBs.
No comment. They'll have all of that laid out to basically hand over to a new owner and say, this is all the employees' roles, this is our processes. So if you're running an e-commerce business, you've got that all laid out for what our distribution model is, how we send our inventory from the warehouse to the customer.
Yeah, awesome.
To make it as easy as possible.
We're going to take a break and we'll be back right after this.
If you're after personal financial advice, don't get it from a podcast. But if you want guidance tailored to your situation, head to moneypodcast.com.au and click Get Help. We'll connect you with one of our trusted professionals, financial advisors and mortgage brokers, who work with people right across Australia. No matter where you are, they can help. Now, before we get back to the show, a quick reminder to protect your financial life. That means having income protection sorted. It means having death cover if there's any debt or dependents relying on you. It means getting your personal insurance in order. Most people insure their car, they insure their house, but what about themselves? Sky Wealth, who support this podcast, are specialist financial advisors who can help you get the right cover in place. Their advice is often more comprehensive and better value than going direct through your super. Book a complimentary 15-minute chat at sky.com.au. That's skye.com.au. And they'll point you in the right direction. Okay,
we're back. So I'll just say when we talk about making the numbers look good, sometimes small business owners will, for example, to pay less tax each year, not draw salary as an employee, take it as a dividend, or if it's a unit trust, or like take it as profit. When that might not look as good, they might put more stuff through the business. I don't know. Like, so there is the things, like you can be doing things completely legal and normal and just having the P&L look different to pay less tax.
Yep.
Likewise, to get a mortgage, some lenders, they might say, well, we only take what's on your PAYG.
Yes.
So you may have to pay yourself more, pay more tax in order to get a higher loan. So I think the on-ramp to sale, you probably want at least 2 financial years that look healthy.
Yeah.
And then maybe if the third one before is like, look, here's an explanation of why.
Yeah, and you can work with an accountant to have what we call add backs.
Yes.
So if there's things on the P&L that aren't actually to do with the business, or basically we want to see what expenses are going to be there for a new owner.
So if someone's employed their spouse on paper through the business,
we just add that back into the profit. Yeah. So you can kind of have 2 P&Ls, one for your tax and one for your exit, essentially. And speak to an accountant about that. I can't really advise, but
And any other big green flags that you see for a healthy business?
Yeah, I would say stable, like month to month fluctuations.
Yes.
Oh, the perfect time to sell a business is when it's growing or stable.
Yes.
And often people are coming to us when the business is declining, and that's the toughest time to sell a business.
Exit on top.
Exactly, exit on top, which is hard. You know, you kind of got to leave your ego at the door, because if you're running a growing business, that can be hard to say goodbye to. But I think keeping in mind and that this is the ideal time that a buyer is going to eat that up. That's
What are
great.
some examples where someone has approached Flippa to list their business? So a physical person will do a DD on everything before it's listed. Yes.
So we don't do a full DD.
Oh,
we
sorry. I
verify
just like
the
verify.
income and
Yes.
expenses,
Sorry,
and
yes.
then we allow the buyer to do that deep dive.
Yeah. So what are some strong things if someone approached the platform, said, look, can you consult with us whether we should list now or not? Is there anything else that you see as a, look, just change this or implement this? We know you'll get a better price in a year's time or something like that.
Yes.
Like, do you ever tell people not yet because of X, Y, Z?
Look, I mean, there are some cases if someone's just not even mentally there.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about this last night, that it's such an
emotional
thing to sell a business and buy a business, but especially on the seller side. But my advice usually would be to list it anyway.
Yes.
And get the data from the market. And
if they're like, we would buy it, but
exactly,
or we don't want to pay this amount because and then tweak
you can
that.
Negotiate everything, and on the sell side, if you've got in your mind, well, I only want to sell for $1 million, but maybe I tell you it's worth 900, maybe list it anyway, and let's just see what happens, and let's see what kind of interest comes from the market. And
and how do Flippa charge? I'd imagine is there a flat list fee, then a percentage?
Exactly. Yeah. So
is that bespoke to each deal, or is it an advertised rack rate percentage?
It's all on our website. Very transparent about that.
Can you give me an example?
Yeah. So
I've got a business worth $850,000.
$850.
I sell it on. Is there a percentage?
There's a percentage. So
Okay.
I might have to look up what the exact listing package is right now. But essentially, you'd pay an upfront cost, which is going to be under $1,000 for
just
that.
the listing fee. Yep.
Listing fee, and then there's a success fee. So that will range anywhere from 7 to 10%.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
On the exit value of the business.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And for example, if there is a sale where it's like so when I sold my first business, it was it was a 60 up front, then 20 at 6 months, and then 20 in 12.
You're talking the deal structure?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I don't know the proper terms like you people
yeah.
over there. So the deal structure was 60% check on signing, 6 months later, 20%, 6 months later, final 20, because there was like if stuff had dropped off, they would do an adjustment out of that final 20%. With Flippa, if the deal was $1 million, for example, you still pay Flippa that fee regardless of the structure. So Flippa gets their money and then run along kids.
Yeah. So look, we take our success fee on the deal value.
Yes.
So if there are some earnouts that aren't guaranteed, then we wouldn't be taking that.
If someone's new to this world, what's an example of an earnout?
Yeah. So I'd say there's 3 main deal structures that we see. And again, this is super important for anyone building a business to think about, to even just have in the back of your mind, what would you be wanting to accept? So the ideal situation every entrepreneur wants is a cash deal, of course. That's just full cash, the whole purchase price. The most common deal structure we see is going to be majority of the deal cash at closing, like you had, and then a portion of the deal would be seller finance. So say if it's $1 million business, you might have $800,000 paid in cash and then $200,000 paid seller financing. So it might be over 2 years and you get a payout quarterly or monthly.
Would there be one where it's like we'll pay you X amount, but if it doesn't hit the target that you say it would, we're not going to do that?
Yeah, so that would be an earnout.
Yeah.
So that can be tricky, but it can be lucrative.
Totally.
It can, give you the opportunity as the owner to make more money out of the sale, but you still got that guaranteed floor. You have to back yourself, yeah.
Because those earnout types arrangements, it would be, we'll buy your blog, but you're still the main blogger for the next 2 years.
I mean, you've got to trust that this is a good business that you're selling.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other information about Flippa or business sales that you want to spew out into the microphone to help people?
Well, I mean, I was thinking before jumping on this podcast that I think I obviously work sell side and I really love that, but something that a lot of people don't think about is the buy side, which I'm just also very passionate about. I think it's very, very exciting that people can buy digital businesses at very kind of affordable rates.
Maybe I should buy another business online.
Well, you could though, right? So people are buying newsletters. So say you've got a blog or a community and you want to expand into a different niche or maybe a different market, you could buy a newsletter with an established market already and then just
What's a good open rate for a newsletter that gets sold?
Oh, that's such a good question. I can't even tell you.
It's that good.
We have a full team who manage newsletter
It's that good that
sales.
she can't answer it. That's how good the question is. Yeah, no, I think I used to have this thing in my mind and it wasn't based on anything, only my own dumb assumptions that, well, why would I buy a business? Because why would someone want to sell a business? Like if it's that good,
it must be
and it's
failing. It must
that's right.
be bad.
But then I sold my own business because I'm like, I'm done here.
Yeah.
It's a really good business. I love it. I love all the clients, but I need to move on.
Yes.
And I need someone to look after this.
Exactly. I mean, you're not going to stay at a job forever. Usually most people have career changes. And it's just like with a business, people want to change it up, move into a different business. And a lot of entrepreneurs love the starting phase and the growth and the creativity that comes with that.
Yeah.
And they're ready to change it up. And if you're thinking of growing a business, we often say, like, why build one when you could buy one?
Yeah.
You kind of cut some corners
So
there.
quickly on the buy side,
Yeah.
if I log on to the Flippa platform now, which I'll do, what is it? Flippa,
Flippa.com.
Flippa.com. Is there a list of companies or businesses for sale?
Oh, yeah. It's so fun. So go to flippa.com, click search. And on the left-hand side, you can filter for any kind of asset type that you're looking for. So if you're open to blogs or e-commerce.
Let's look at YouTube and social media. Let's look at a YouTube. Oh, wow. There's a YouTube channel for sale. 440,000 over the last 12 months in revenue. YouTube channel selling 220K subs, inspirational storytelling.
Amazing, right?
Okay.
And a lot of them are faceless, so anyone could take them over. And basically, once you find a business you're interested in, sign the NDA. It's all on the platform. And then you can speak directly with the broker or the seller and ask them any questions you have. You can just get involved.
Okay. So what you're saying is the broker is a Flippa person?
Yeah, mostly.
Yeah. And they're not employed by Flippa, they're contracted out?
I'm employed by Flippa, and most of us are, but because we're a marketplace, you can represent yourself as well. So you could be self-service.
Oh, so I could literally have
you could put your own.
Yeah, but I could have my own business broker and they list it on Flippa.
Yes.
And they can, it's just a marketplace and they can do the razzle dazzle with the person.
Exactly. But I mean, if you're considering selling, then reach out to me and I can help.
Wow. Well, I don't know. I just think it's a cool platform, a cool marketplace. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's just good for everyone to think about. When you're building a business, you've got to build it so it's scalable and saleable.
Mm-hmm. Build with the end in mind.
Yeah, if you can. And I've kind of resolved I've just kind of take as much money as I can off the table each year because I am so much of my business. So that's kind of, I'm not building an asset per se as I was when I had a financial advice business.
Yes, makes sense.
But if someone wants to buy my podcast, let me know.
If you want to become Glen James.
Yeah, I'll take some cash. All right, we'll leave it there. Steph, thanks for saying hi yesterday. Thanks for jumping on and talking about Flippa. And hopefully this has encouraged any business owners to build with the end in mind. Because as you said, even if you don't sell it, you're going to have a cracking business anyway.
Exactly. Thanks so much for having me, Glen.
No
that was
worries.
Awesome.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Any advice is general financial advice only, which does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Because of that, you should consider if the advice is appropriate to you and your needs before acting on the information. If you do choose to buy a financial product, read the Product Disclosure Statement, PDS, and Target Market Determination, TMD, and obtain appropriate financial advice tailored to your needs. Simo Interactive Pty Ltd, the publisher of this podcast, and Glen James are authorised representatives of Money Sherpa Pty Ltd, which holds financial services license 451289. Opinions or comments from any guests on the podcast are theirs and not those of the host or the publisher or their respective license holders.